Welcome to AI Explains. Today we're taking a deep dive into the Global Carbon Budget 2024.
This is a massive scientific synthesis. It was put together by Pierre Friedlingstein and a huge international team of researchers.
Right, and the mission today is to break this down. Because, if you are completely unfamiliar with this field, the numbers can feel like a lot.
They really can. The easiest way I find to look at it is, well, picture a planetary bank account.
Oh, I like that. So we have deposits and expenses.
Exactly. Human activity is making massive deposits into the atmosphere. That's our income, essentially.
And looking at that income for 2023, we deposited about 11.1 billion tons of carbon.
Or GTC, yeah. And the projections for 2024 show fossil fuels alone hitting a record high, about 10.2 billion tons.
Which is an increase of almost a full percent, 0.8% to be exact.
Right. But while the total volume is staggering, the regional breakdown shows things are shifting a bit.
Yeah, there were some surprising differences. I mean, the European Union is actually expected to decrease its fossil emissions by 2.8% this year.
And the U.S. is trending down as well by 0.9%.
But those reductions are basically being wiped out, right?
Yeah.
Because of international travel and trade.
Unfortunately, yes. The report projects a 7.8% surge in emissions from international aviation and shipping.
Wow. So the post-pandemic rebound is really pushing those numbers up.
It is. So that's the incoming carbon. Now, to balance those massive deposits, the planet relies on natural expenses, or sinks.
Right. The oceans and our land ecosystems, they soak up the carbon, trying to balance the books.
Exactly. Historically, the ocean takes up about 26% of our total emissions, and the land absorbs around 30%.
But I noticed a concerning trend in the 2024 budget. The ocean sink has essentially flatlined since 2016.
It has. It is not increasing its absorption to keep up with our rising emissions.
And then there is the land sink. This was a huge aha moment for me. In 2023, it's severely dropped.
To its lowest level since 2015.
Which makes you wonder why the land suddenly stopped pulling its weight.
It really comes down to severe climate events. We had the onset of an El Niño weather pattern.
And those massive, devastating wildfires in Canada.
Exactly. When millions of acres burn, they aren't just failing to act as a sponge. They actively release stored carbon back into the atmosphere.
So it's a double hit to the budget.
It really is.
Now, if the oceans and land are only absorbing roughly half of what we emit, we are left with a huge surplus.
What scientists call the airborne fraction, that remaining 44% stays right there in the atmosphere.
Driving CO2 concentrations up to, a projected 422.45 parts per million in 2024?
That's right, which is 52% above pre-industrial levels.
So what is the bottom line here? Why does this specific remaining number matter so much for you listening?
Well, it brings us to the remaining carbon budget. If we want a 50% chance to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, our planetary allowance only has 65 billion tons of carbon left.
55 billion. And at our current spending rate of over 10 billion tons a year, we run out of that allowance in just 6 years.
It's just 6 years.
That puts everything into stark perspective. We are running a planetary budget with billion-ton margins, and we're relying so heavily on natural sinks that are incredibly vulnerable.
Margins that are getting tighter every year.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to ponder. We just saw how extreme wildfires can temporarily cripple the land sink. If nature's carbon sinks become increasingly damaged by climate-driven events, what happens to our delicate planetary math if those failing sinks eventually flip and become continuous sources of carbon themselves?
That is the variable that could rewrite our entire ledger.
Something to really think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. Keep questioning, keep learning, and we'll catch you next time.